Welcome to Workshop Goals.
Today I'm going to show you what we've secretly been working on for almost a year. You're going to get to see the building go up, a tour of the in-process shop, and some of the highs and lows along the way to get here.
I'm Brad Rodriguez, and you might know me from Fix This Build That, which is our channel where we do DIY and home improvement projects. But this channel is all about the workshop. And specifically, it's about helping you stay organized and be more efficient in your workshop so that you can better enjoy your hobbies. Whether that's woodworking, metalworking, or just any maker that's in a shop, this channel is for you. Now, before we jump into the tour, let me tell you a little bit about how we got here and how this building all came together. So this is a property that we bought back in 2023, which was supposed to be our dream property. Woo! Now, unfortunately, a long story short, things didn't work out the way that we planned. So instead, we decided to build this huge building and basically put our dreams and hopes of the businesses here. So this is going to be Fix This Build That HQ2, as well as the main source for workshop goals and everything that we're doing here on that side. And we'll get into more about that later.
So the building process started by tearing down the old shop, and I'm not going to lie, it was bittersweet seeing it go away because I had dreams of making that shop into something awesome. But we are definitely on to bigger and better things. And instead of a shop build or a shop tour, I'm going to wrap them both into one. It'll be like a roller coaster of the ups and downs with spoilers along the way because yes, it's turning out amazing, but also yes, getting here was, well, you'll see. Now, I am an engineer and not an architect, but I did come up with a design for the workshop. I went through several options based on what would fit on the lot with the constraints that we had, and I landed on a 2-story monitor-style building. And I've always loved this look. I did get input from an architect for the final elevations, but I didn't get a full set of detailed plans for the building, and that was probably one of my biggest regrets because it came back to bite me in the butt on several occasions. But it all started back in December of last year, and I can still remember how excited and nervous I was to see my dreams start taking shape.
All right, guys, today is a huge day. It is going to be the day that we get concrete for the slab. So I think the first truck just pulled up. Let's go check it out. All right, so here is our form. This is a 70 by 58, and the first concrete truck is here. All right, so this corner here, so that was one truck's worth. So that is about 10 cubic yards. This guy is number 2, and we've got number 3 and number 4 right behind it. Just piling this stuff in here fast. All right, truck 8 has just showed up. We hope this is gonna make it. So it'll be 80 total cubic yards. Fingers crossed if this is gonna actually make it because there's some compression because as the trucks pulled in, they drove onto the compacted gravel, which made it sink down, which means you need more concrete to fill it. So I don't know if this is gonna work or not. We just made it. The guy said they had less than a yard left in the truck after they were done and they were leaving. So almost 80 full cubic yards for this entire slab. And now they're actually setting up the form for the porch that's gonna go on the side.
Seeing the foundation finished was so surreal. It was like a blank canvas just waiting for paint. And by paint, I mean wood, and there was a lot of wood coming.
All right, we are out bright and early because today is a super exciting day. We're gonna start framing. We got the lumber package all here. Man, that's a lot of lumber. All right, they're laying out the lines right now for where the frame is gonna go. And they're outlining the outer wall first so that then when they put up the inner wall, it can be braced. All right, first nails of the shop right here.
They spent the whole first day cutting studs to length and setting up layout. Then on day 2, we were ready to raise the first walls. And, well, I guess this was a sign of things to come. Things did not go to plan.
Oh boy.
All right, so we have had a small issue, and that's because this wall is 14 foot tall and it's on the outside. I just thought that is way too big, and I started looking at the plans and realized, yeah, that is definitely too big. That 14-foot wall should actually be here, and that wall should be 11 foot 8 inches. So these poor guys are going through and cutting down all these walls that they framed. And yeah, they're gonna have to redo all of those. And they could just pull it in, but it's actually gonna be slightly different. We're getting it taken care of, but thankfully I figured it out after the first wall went up, and I didn't show up, you know, later in the afternoon and all the walls were up and it's an issue.
This was the first of several times where having my own plan set would have saved some heartache, because there was a mix-up between dimensions on the contract and the takeoff, and having a set of printed plans on site would have solved all of this. That was a big mistake. The rest of the walls went up a lot smoother after the first one, after the crew got their machinery there to help raise up the walls. After a couple long days of framing, we had all of those walls up that'll define the first floor, and I thought it would be kind of cool to jump into the shop tour now and go back and forth between the build and where we're standing in this in-process shop. So let's jump into the first floor tour.
Welcome to the new workshop. This is the left side of the workshop, our first garage door, and this is going to be the main entrance right here once we get this all up and running. But basically what I'm showing you throughout the entire shop tour is going to be where we stand today, which is kind of open framing. So we have a blank canvas across this entire area to do whatever we want to with it. And I'm going to be asking you for your opinions and thoughts on things, because that's what I want this to be about. I want this to really be the community effort and for us to all help each other. So I'm excited to share this all with you. And this first area right here is one of those things that I've always wanted in a shop. This is one of my workshop goals, was I want a place for automotive. I want a place that I can work on my car out of the sun. I've always just done it in the driveway, in the hot sun, on top of, you know, a couple ramps and some jack stands. But in here we have enough space with the high ceiling that we can actually put in a lift. And that might be a 2-post lift or a 4-post lift, or maybe something cool I've never even heard of. So let me know down in the comments, what are your thoughts on 2-post versus 4-post, because this is all kind of new to me, and that's what's so exciting about this, is that we can build this out exactly how we want it. So this will be a bit of the automotive bay. But as we go through the shop, also, one of the themes that I want to stay with is I'm trying to stay as flexible as possible here. And so we're not going to have a lot of walls in between here, and I'll tell you some spaces that we will, but it's going to have a nice open run. So as we work our way back here, this will also be metalworking. So automotive and metalworking kind of go together, so that's what I kind of imagine here. I can definitely see, you know, a metal cutting bandsaw here, having a place for my welder, having a place that I can grind metal and not worry about getting all the metal shavings and dust into the woodworking side, which again has always been an issue. I've never really wanted to go too deep into metalworking because it's just so dirty and dusty on the metallic side, and you don't want that anywhere near your woodworking finishes. Now you will see we do have a lot of boxes up, and we're going to be getting all the electrical. So I'll talk about that more later once we go over and get to the main service, but this is where we're at the moment, is just in the rough end of the electrical phase. All right, so the back of the left bay here, this is one of the areas that I'm really excited about, and that is gonna be a spray room slash finishing room. So this is something, again, I've always wanted. And you'll probably hear me saying I'm gonna be super excited about things because I'm just super excited about this entire shop. So, you know, bear with me here. But the idea, we're gonna have probably a wall right here, and this area can be nice and cut off. So if we're ever doing any kind of finishing, we don't have to worry about what's going on in the main shop. And you know how it goes, where you have to stop for the day because you don't want any dust in there. Once you apply that finish, you just have to be done. So we can have this area where we can cordon everything off. And we do have a nice big 9 foot by 9 foot open framing, and that's so that we can do maybe a 9 by 9 roll-up door if we wanted to, or also have the potential just to frame it down and maybe just make it double doors. So I want to make sure I can roll anything in and out of here easily. But also, I have never really done anything involved with the spray booth, so I would love to hear your opinions. Let me know your thoughts on how we should set up the spray booth so that we can do it the right way, make sure we're exhausting the air the proper way, getting good ventilation, and everything that you're going to need for a great spray room. All right, we're going to jump over to the right side bay now, which is an exact mirror of the left side bay. But this is where our power comes in for the building. Now, for our power, we do have a 400 amp service. So we're going to have plenty of amperage for the entire building to run all the machines we want. And there's going to be some big machines in here we'll talk about a little bit later. But you can see we are putting in the electric. We're starting to run some holes here, so it's kind of messy, and that's just what we're living in right now, trying to get everything together. This whole bay here is going to really be about just storage and shipping and receiving, if you will. So that's something I always struggled with having a garage shop, is if I wanted to get a delivery, even if it was a small delivery of just a few sheets of plywood, they'd have to drop it in the driveway, and then I'd have to move things in. But having this area here, it'll be kind of like our receiving area, which will be great. They can just drop pallets right in here. We have a couple pallet jacks that we're getting, as well as I would love to get a forklift. Maybe that will be in the future, maybe not. But that's what we're basically doing for this area right here, and we'll probably have lots of pallet racking and other things. All right, so back here, we're about halfway through the bay, and this is where we have the big 9 by 9 opening to the main shop area again, so that we can move items in and out here as easily as possible. And a big shout out to my man, John Malecki, who said, make sure you make a 9 foot opening so you could fit an 8 foot wide piece of plywood widthwise through the door. And I did not think about that because I was thinking like 8 feet. So thank you, John. And the back of the right bay, this is going to be just a hint of some of the bigger things we're going to be getting into. And this is going to be where the CNC is going to live. So we're going to have a 5 by 10 CNC. That is the plan. And as we get that in here, that is going to be what we use for production of some of the things that we want to build out. Specifically, cabinetry, flat pack cabinetry. That is something I've always wanted to do, is make flat pack cabinetry that we can sell. And if somebody wants to buy versus build their own, we're gonna have some options for you to do that. So this is a little insight into the production and prototyping that we wanna do, and even a little bit of manufacturing. I am so excited to see how this is gonna turn out.
Yes, I totally skipped over the main shop area downstairs, but that's because it's the crown jewel. I want to save that for a bit later. But first, we had a whole nother floor to frame out, and that started with installing the flooring system.
All right, it has gotten extremely cold out here. The ditch witch over here, which has a little boom arm on it, we're gonna be able to fly in these joists. These are 30-foot joists, 2 foot tall. So that is the largest we could go with that big span without having any posts. All right, attempt number 2 here. Sliding them out did not work. Busted up one of the one of the trusses there. We can put that back together, no problem. All right, the guys got finished putting in all of the trusses. Awesome work. We also got wise and did a little scrap fire here. Stoking that thing up, making sure we're staying nice and warm here.
When the sheathing went on for that second floor, it really started feeling like a building, and I was too excited to wait any longer. I had to get up there and take a look.
All right, don't tell Susan I did this. I'm gonna climb with the camera in hand. She's probably watching this anyway. Oh man, this is just wide open. Wow. I think I might put a pickleball court up here. And of course the view up the hill. All right, they've moved on to the front now, and they're framing out the front doors. Really starting to come together on the front and starting to look more and more like a building. All right, they're about to put this header in here. Somebody down in the comments do the math for me. This is 16 foot 9 inches, and they've got two 2x12s and two
2x8s. I don't know, a couple 100 pounds easy. Bravo! Thought they were gonna eat it there.
All right, so we've already got the main 16x10 garage door here, and the little bays are the ones that they're framing now. So we're really getting close to having this whole front interior done, and then we can move up to the top, because next up they're gonna be doing the second floor walls, so we can start pulling in some trusses. Maybe we'll have a roof. All right, we are now getting into the part where we're starting to frame out the walls on the second floor. All right, the first wall is up. Check this out. It looks so good. It's 8 feet tall, if I haven't said that already. So up here to be enough to be clear, and we can have a lot of our trusses up there where we're gonna run some lighting, AC, and that kind of stuff. Thought these guys were done, but I come back and they're framing up the back wall with the lights on in the dark.
Oh my gosh, this is fantastic.
All right, they're just about to put up the last wall, and this is going to be basically everything will now be enclosed, and then all we'll have left is the structure for the roofing to outline and define the entire building. All right, we've got the first of the end rafters going in. Just about, I don't know, 30 or 40 more. So I'm gonna walk up on the hill. We're gonna see what this looks like from a little aerial view. I haven't been up here in a little bit, so I just wanna see how big it's looking. So here we are, coming up on the end. We're at the top of the hill. This thing is gonna be a beast. And I'm okay with that. All right, super exciting day today. That's because today we're flying in the trusses. Crane's backing down the driveway now. Here she comes. That is a big old crane. They said it weighs 118,000 pounds. All right, have you ever seen a crane that big, residential? I can't even fit it in the frame. So that is a 165-foot boom. This thing is a monster. Oh, here they are. They're testing the swing to the back of the shop. Oh my gosh, this thing is crazy. All right, they just flew in a load of 2x4s for the purlins, and now he's gonna be coming down and picking up the trusses, which were inconveniently dropped right underneath that tree. So this should be interesting. All right, I came up to the second floor. We're about halfway done. This is a whole operation. They're flying them in here. These guys are putting them up. The other guys are putting on the purlins. They have just a system down, and it is going awesome. All right, they just got done putting in the last truss. The entire outer dimensions are defined other than the porch. So basically this is exactly how it's gonna look. And I tell you what, seeing it in person and seeing it come to life is just absolutely amazing. And I know I've said it before, but thank you so much. All your support is what's made this possible. I'm just over the moon. All right, the first rows of sheathing are going up. So on top of that sheathing, we're gonna actually have the insulation here. And then on top of that, the metal. All right, today is quite cold out here. Nice thing about it being so cold is that the mud is frozen. The sun does rise in the back of the building here, and check out all the cool sun rays and shadows that it makes as it comes in. Very cool. And you can just get serenaded by the sound of hammers hammering in rafter ties. So
the front is almost all framed up. I think this is actually the last piece of sheathing coming in. They're putting a few pieces of blocking in there. And then the front of the building is gonna be totally sheathed, and it's, you know, basically done. I mean, we may as well just move in.
Ah, past Brad. You had no idea what was around the corner. Stay positive, my friend. So here I am at 10 o'clock at night. I'm out at the shop build, and it has just got done raining for like all day, and it has finally stopped. And so I came out here to check on the damage, and it's not good. It's not good. There are just inches of water, and I put some little drain holes in here. I 3D printed actually this little thing, and they had all gotten clogged up, but it's flowing now. And I'm just trying to get all this water out of here because it doesn't have anywhere to go now that we have the walls up. Put 6 of them in, but they keep clogging up with debris. But yeah, we're definitely gonna have some lumpy seams. And here is the first floor. You probably can't even hear me because of all the water hitting. That's one of those drains from upstairs. And the best part about it is I'm leaving the country tomorrow morning for a vacation. So, you know, it's 10:30-ish now. And I'm just gonna try to get as much water out as I can. Really could have done without this. But hey, it's what you get. All right, I knew this was coming. I knew the rain was coming, so I actually bought this little water pump off of Amazon. It's actually doing pretty good. Yeah. 25-foot hose, so I've got to shove all the water from down here down to here. So I just got back in town, and some things happened while I was gone. I was actually in the Caribbean enjoying nice, wonderful sun. When I came back to find this. That's right, we had 3 to 4 inches of snow here in Nashville, and everything is just covered. Now, unfortunately, we did not get everything dried in before the snow came. So everything is wet. You can see the side bays are just filled with water. They've frozen. I'm gonna try to get that all out, but I'm really concerned about what's going on upstairs because before I left, we had the rain. I got that all out, but now that the snow is up there, that can't be good for the subfloor. All right, so here's our second floor, filled with snow, starting to melt. Well, I brought a snow shovel, so I guess I'll get to shoveling. Okay, I'm about 2/3 done with this, and it just occurred to me that I probably should have started in the back and just pushed everything to the front. But this is a ton of trips to and fro. Having a 70-foot long shop seems great until you have to walk 70 feet to throw snow out the window. And that's because that's my only way out. I could go out these side windows here, like there's a window right there. You might be thinking, just throw it out that window. If I do that, it's just gonna go into the shop below me. I'm gonna have to deal with it down there. So I'm having to take everything out that front window. Also has me thinking, why didn't I put a window in the back? I'm gonna start in the back now and then just work my way forward from here. This is not fun.
All right, after, I don't know, 2 or 3 hours of shoveling, this is the last thing.
That was definitely a lot of work. This OSB is all still gonna be wet. I can already see that the edges and the seams are definitely all swelled up, but I guess we're just gonna have to find out once everything dries out. I made a huge pile of snow at the bottom. Hopefully I can get down the ladder. All right, and we'll throw the snow shovel down there. We'll see how deep this bad boy goes into the pile. Oh, ouch.
One of the areas I'm probably most excited about is this side porch, and we framed it out with 6x6 cedar posts. I'm really glad we added this feature because it's going to be a great spot to enjoy the outdoors. And you're probably wondering why there were no stairwells for me to push water or snow out during that whole escapade I just showed. And that again is where a lockdown set of plans would have saved us. Basically, the stairs didn't get planned into the second floor system, and I had assumed they did, but that meant that we had to retrofit them in, which definitely is not optimal. You should really never cut flooring web trusses, but sometimes, we got to deal with what we've got, and I had to play the hand that we've been dealt.
Now, one of the things about this, we made these great wide stairs, but what we had to do was get a platform or a landing in here because actually the stairs go up 14 feet. And anything over 12-foot rise, you have to have a landing. But this is nice. I think maybe I might have a coffee station here. Take a break, as you're going upstairs, get a little rest in, maybe some calisthenics, I don't know. But we have a landing here, which is nice. So the upstairs, this is going to be more of a traditional office setting as well as a little bit of electronics, thus the nerd zone. But here up in the front, this is just a super cool area that's 2,100 square feet is the entire shop. It is a mirror of the main shop area downstairs. And I love having the window here. You get a lot of nice natural light and a ton of echo right now, which will all go away as we start building things out. But this area up here is going to be just where we do the work for the channel, for both channels. So FTBT HQ2 as well as workshop goals. So we'll probably have some editing booths right here, a TV so we can review videos. And then over here, you can see a little green tape on the floor. This is going to be where my office is. And I'm just indulging myself a bit in having a corner office with a window. But this will be where I take my phone calls. If I might do Skypes, I might do any live streams, things like that. So if we have any kind of just talking head video where we want to shoot something that's outside of the shop, this would be a great place to do it here in the office. I'd love to just build out a nice set of cabinetry back here behind myself, have a little desk, be able to look out the window, and I think it's going to be a really cool place to work. So the rest of this area back here, behind the office, this will be an open space as well, and we're going to have a wall running all the way from the stairs kind of to the right, the back of this window. And back here, this will be kind of a cool little area. I want it to me like have a little couch here, maybe like a TV, a little Xbox, just a place to chill out. If the kids want to come over and hang out, they could come over here, or if we just wanted to take a break, this could be a nice little area just to enjoy yourself, sit down and relax. But coming into the middle section, we're going to have a door somewhere right around here. And as we come in, this is going to run all the way back to right in between those back two windows. And I'll show you that in a minute. So this area is honestly, it's not completely defined yet. All I know is that I want to have a lot of that production and prototyping of our 3D prints in here. So that is one of the things that we're focusing on in the storage and organization is 3D printing. I've been a huge fan of 3D printing ever since basically 2020 when I got my first 3D printer. And this will be an area where we can do, packaging, shipping, receiving, prototyping, whatever that looks like. And so we'll have probably some storage in here, some bays where we can work on things, some electronics where we can, if we have anything that has electronic components to it, we can do all that work in this area. And maybe also just a little place for some snacks and food and a fridge and things like that. So coming back to the back, kind of right in between these two windows and the back, we're gonna have a wall that runs the entire length of the building. This is 70 feet deep and 30 feet wide, and we'll have a set of double doors here, and what's gonna be behind me is gonna be the 3D print farm. So we're gonna fit at least 24 printers, if not more, as well as have all of our CNC desktop lasers, fiber laser, anything that we have that is kind of that CNC robot, this is gonna be back here so we can reduce the noise, keep it all contained. Also, we're gonna have it climate controlled in there because that's a lot of heat producing stuff back there. And then once we are done with the 3D prints and bringing them out, this area over here can be where we do some of the post-processing, the packaging, shipping, all of those things are gonna happen right over in this area. And maybe some of the storage for stuff that we've already got, or if we do assemblies, things like that. I'm still trying to figure all of that out, but that's part of the exciting thing is that we don't know exactly what it's gonna look like because we don't know exactly the products that we're gonna be making or the demand. And all those things are gonna be figured out along the way, and it's gonna be so fun. Now, one thing you've probably already noticed, especially up here, is the spray foam insulation. And we partnered with Enverge Spray Foam and 31W Insulation, who did the install for us. We went with a closed cell spray foam insulation instead of a traditional batt insulation for several reasons. The first of which was just the air sealing. When they install this, it just makes everything airtight. And so we have a really nice controllable envelope here. And basically it's gonna make keeping this cooler a lot easier and warmer in the winter. And we are gonna look at doing an ERV to get airflow and exchange because we don't have the HVAC system set up yet. But one of the other things that this spray foam really does help with is rigidity on the roof, because the roof is just metal panels. We didn't have an underlayment up there, and putting on that spray foam on the roof adds a ton of rigidity. I think they say up to 300% more rigidity on a metal structure that this is gonna offer. And the last thing is just bug prevention. So having everything sealed off, we're gonna really reduce on getting any kind of mice or even ants, spiders, anything like that is gonna help with that. So this was a really awesome product, and a huge thank you to Enverge. If you're thinking about doing any spray foam, definitely go check them out. I'll have a link in the description where you can go check out their products and find an installer that is in your area.
Today the snow is still around, but the guys are working on the insulation around the outside. You can see the nice shiny reflective part, and what that does is it helps reflect some of the radiant heat that comes through. So as the sun is hitting the metal, as long as you have a little bit of an air gap, it'll help bounce some of that back. It doesn't necessarily have like a high R value because it's really thin, but it should help bounce back some of those sun rays. At least that's the idea. So that's why we're using that instead of house wrap. Right now the guys are laying the insulation up on the top, and then we are gonna have the roof in. By the end of the day, we should be dried in. Oh yeah, there's the first panel going on. So they're putting this down on top of that radiant insulation, and then they're going to screw into the purlins going across the roof. All right, today we have a lot of stuff going on. The roof is going on the porch. Also, we got doors going in today as well. Oh wow, they've actually already done everything. That was the last piece that they're doing over here. That's one thing about these guys is they work super fast. So if I ever have a call or something, I come back out and like everything's done. I'm like, wait, guys, I wanted to film that. All right, here comes the last piece of metal. Getting lifted up to these guys. Out here on the outside, they're starting to install the flash trim or the rat guard or whatever you want to call it, so that we can start putting in the metal pieces. All right, we have started the install over here. I thought they were done for the night, but they just pulled the lights out, and here we go. Like I said, these guys just continue to impress. They're out here working in the lights. This board and batten metal is pretty cool. I'll show you more tomorrow when we've got better light. All right, it is bright and early the next morning, and we are back at it. I want to show you the metal that we're using. So here's the look that we're gonna have, and this is a board and batten style. And it's also got a crinkle finish on it. So you look at it, it looks kind of like crinkly, and that will help with any of what they call oil canning. If some of the screws are too tight and warping, it kind of helps disguise that. So here's an offcut from yesterday, and basically it has the batten, I guess. Or I don't know, is that the batten or is that the board? But it's got the hump here, and it's curled over. And then over on the other side, they have a little turn back lip. So this little lip right here is gonna lock into
this piece right here on the next one. The best part about this metal is that the screws go in on the flanges that are going to be covered up by the next piece. So when it's done, there's no screws anywhere. There's no exposed screws. So the look is super clean and it is awesome. So much better than just a ribbed panel with the exposed screws, in my opinion. So we're over on the back wall, and obviously this full 25-foot piece is going to need more than just one sheet of metal. So they're putting a like a Z flashing up here, and that's going to be where the lower piece terminates underneath it, and that way we're going to be watertight coming all the way down.
With that last window, we are now officially fully dried in on that second floor, and I don't have to worry about any rain anymore, any snow, which we have some coming in soon. So that's a big relief.
They're starting to put up the eyebrow, which goes over the garage door, which is basically just a little treatment that is completely visual and aesthetic, but I think it's going to look really awesome. They're playing Phil Collins, so hopefully I don't get demonetized for this. So underneath here, you can see all the soffits have been done. They're finishing up these fascia boards. The guys are also up on the roof there, attaching all those screws. They're filling in and making sure everything is screwed down nice and tight. So they're actually putting on the final corner piece right now. Well, let me take you on a little tour of where we're at because it's looking so good. The guys are loading up all the materials for the garage doors right now. We've got all the soffit work done. We've got all the roofing done. Basically, we have everything done. And if I've not mentioned before, that's just protective film. Those are black doors, so we're not that tacky around here.
Once we had the garage doors up, we were truly dried in. It felt like such a weight off my shoulders after dealing with so much weather through the winter months. But speaking of the weather, let's jump back to where I get to enjoy the weather rather than worry about it. But this is one of my favorite spots in the building, which is actually outside. So this is our outdoor porch, and we have a 12-foot wide by 48-foot long porch. And this is another thing that I have always wanted, is just a place to be able to come out and work. If I want to do some sanding, to let the dust blow out, or just be out here on a nice fall day, or listening to the cicadas, out here eating a sandwich, doing whatever. We have a ton of space here. We can do whatever we want. And I'm thinking maybe an outdoor kitchen, maybe something that we do here to really make this a place that we can enjoy year round. Maybe bring the family over, have a little bit of barbecue or something like this. But I'm gonna be definitely doing some things up here in the roof to finish this out. Tongue and groove, some lighting, some fans, and just make this a super relaxing area where we can also get some work done. Today, the task at hand is to dig a trench about 130 foot. Let me show you what we're working with here. All right, so we've got our transformer over here. We've already got this all nice and marked out. And we're gonna be cutting the trench all the way up to the side of the building. Now, the first thing I need to do is figure out where the actual stub out is coming from, because I know the line going to the pole is there, but there's actually two other stub outs apparently. I'm gonna dig right here. Oh, there it is. Oh, just kidding. I know that you have to bury at least 30 inches. So it's gonna be 30 inches or more down there. So I'm gonna go grab a tape measure, see where I'm at, because I feel like I'm getting close to 30. 18 on the low side. Looks like I got a lot more digging to do. Yes, I am actually sitting in this hole now, and we have finally found it. About 36 inches down. And let me just tell you, digging a 3-foot deep hole by hand, not fun. 10 out of 10 would not recommend. All right, we've got the tractor in place, and I'm just gonna start digging. My helper back here, he's already, he's got a shovel. This is actually my first time using the backhoe. We'll see how it goes. this is definitely a little bit of a learning curve because there's, multiple controls and you're trying to curl the bucket as you're scooping, and to get like a straight bottom is not easy. By the way, if you've got any great tips, let's hear them down below in the comments. And yeah, he's cleaning up some of the driveway for me while I'm doing this. All right, we're digging, and my assistant, my middle son here, he's quite the geologist. Something caught his eye. Let's see what it is. What do we have, Ty?
Some petrified wood, it looks like.
All right, what do we think, folks? Is this petrified wood? Per usual, I have underestimated how long this is going to take, but also my son got to do his first excavation on the backhoe. What'd you think?
It's pretty fun.
Pretty fun?
Steep learning curve.
Steep learning curve, but fun.
Very steep.
Yes. So we only got about 15 feet out of the 130, but at the end I was really starting to get a hang of it, so we'll start back up tomorrow. All right, I'm back at it today. Unfortunately, I do not have my helper with me, but I gotta say, I love it when I can bring my kids out here when they have the interest. So, something like saying, hey, you wanna dig a huge hole in the backyard? Those are the times they wanna help out. When I ask them to help me sort wood, not so much. Let's get ripping. Okay, maybe I should have used longer boards right here. My back tire was falling into the pit. I could feel the whole thing tilting and tipping. Yeah, we got out. I had to go out of town for a few days, and while I was gone, some cool stuff happened. So we did get approval on the ditch, and they ran the pipe in there. It flows all the way back up here, and it goes all the way up to our meter base for the 400 amps. Really wish that had have been not crooked, but the life of a perfectionist. What are you gonna do?
With the electric service run and the driveway poured, which I didn't get footage of, things were really coming together, and my dream shop was turning into a reality. It got me reminiscing about all the shops that I'd had before this.
I've been dreaming about building my own shop for almost 25 years. That's because I got into woodworking shortly after graduating college in the year 2000. In the year 2000. Now, we were at the dawn of a new millennium. The internet was still in its infancy, and YouTube was still 5 years away from even being made. So the way that I digested most of my content was magazines. When I got into woodworking, I got all the magazines. I got Popular Woodworking, with Norm on the cover, of course, Woodsmith, Woodcraft, Family Handyman, American Woodworker, and my favorite, Wood. Now, the ones though that I really liked the best were these special editions like this one here, America's Best Home Workshops. And I would just go through and pour through these magazines, and basically this is just people showing off their shops and their setups and all the different storage and organization ideas that they had, and I loved it. I could not get enough of it. I could just sit there and envision having my own shop and having all these cool storage and organization ideas. And now we're here, 25 years in the making, and this is gonna be the dream shop that we build out. Starting all the way back at that 90 square foot basement, the 250 square foot basement, the 360 square foot basement, the 550 square foot garage, and we've landed here. 2,100 square feet, 70 foot long by 30 feet wide. That's the space that we're working with, and I am so excited to start building it out. Let me show you what I'm thinking. So in here, this is gonna be the kind of traditional woodworking shop. So right over here, I'm envisioning having the wall of cabinets and the tool storage, and this will probably be a wall where I do a lot of filming. I'm gonna have a workbench right here, having this with a nice backdrop and tool storage on here. And so we'll be doing a lot of videos and instructional content at this location. Now, coming across here, a great area for table saw. Table saw is the center of any woodworking shop. and that's where I plan on having it. Nice big outfeed table that we're gonna put on top of it. And over here on this side will be some of the light wood storage, but also a long miter station. So we have the miter station that I built over in the garage shop, and the thing is, we're not bringing anything over. I want to build everything specific for this location. So everything will be brand new. We're gonna have new plans. We're gonna have new storage options, and we're gonna be able to build all those things that we've wanted to build and just didn't have the space for. So with all this extra area, our options are almost unlimited. And I wanna know, what do you think? What do you want to see come into this space? What are those things that you've always wanted to build, but you don't have the space for? Because that's what we wanna do here. All right, coming back a little bit further into the space, we do have the stairs, obviously, which makes a nice area underneath for storage, and I'm not exactly sure what's all gonna go in there. Our electronics under here for driving everything upstairs, internet, all that good stuff. But also, there might be some extra room for just having some cool storage and little hidden nooks and crannies back there. And this gives us another nice wall where we can have bandsaw, drill press, and all those tools that we wanna have up against a wall. Now in the center here, I'm thinking assembly table. So right now we have a lot of this wood. This is the plywood that's actually gonna go up on the walls. We're gonna go with 1/2-inch sheathing on the walls, which is a birch plywood. And I might leave it natural. I might paint it gray, might paint it black. I don't know. I think black would be really cool. It kind of fits with the colors of the new Workshop Goals logo. And having the space and being able to open it up is gonna allow me to build bigger projects as well. I know whenever I built the bunk bed for my son, I had to build that on the floor, and it was just a nightmare kind of balancing things in between, but we can just clear out a nice space and build any size thing that we want to. And maybe we're gonna have some rolling 4x8 tables. We can put those together. The options, again, they're endless, so I can't wait to see how this evolves. Now, at one point, I did consider having a wall breaking up kind of the front, which is gonna be a little bit more my traditional wood shop. A lot of what you see in the current shop over at Fix This Build That right now, except expanded and more room to add new machines. But I want to have in the back is really gonna be where some of our larger machines are. And that would be something like, if we have a large sander, like a wide belt sander, or if we have a large laser instead of the desktop lasers that we have upstairs. So think of the back area more of like as the production equipment. And these are gonna be things that you probably wouldn't have in a home workshop. So I kind of want to segregate those back here, a little bit more industrial in the back and a little bit more residential in the front. Party in the back and business in the front? I don't know, something like that. This is gonna be the mullet. We'll call this the mullet. Maybe this will be the mullet room back here. Now the cool thing is that I don't know what's gonna be back here because we've left room for expansion. That was one of the things that when we were building the shop, I wanted to go as big as we could possibly go within the constraints of our budget and within just the proximity of the lot that we're building on, because I didn't want to later think, oh, I wish I had have added more space. Because we've all been there. We've all made something and then think, oh, it's great for when you made it, but not for a year down the road, 5 years down the road. And so this is gonna be an area that can grow with us as we grow the business. So that's a look at the traditional shop here, but there is one thing that I think we need to add to just top things off. Now, every shop needs a good supervisor, and who is a better supervisor than the GOAT himself, Norm Abram. Now, Norm is one of the guys that really inspired me into woodworking. I talked about the magazines, but one of the other things that I was really into was the New Yankee Workshop and Ask This Old House. And watching Norm just get out there and build these beautiful, amazing things was so inspirational, and I loved watching and learning from him. So he needs a special spot in the shop. And of course, before we do that, we should put on our safety glasses. Be sure to read, understand, and follow all of the safety procedures with your power tools, and there's no more important rule than to wear these safety glasses. Just like Norm and all those magazines I read over the years inspired me, my goal is that this channel helps inspire you. And that whether you have a 100 square foot basement or a 6,000 square foot shop, that Workshop Goals is gonna give you ideas and content and plans to help you enjoy your space the best. So until next time, get out there, set a goal, and get it done.